This has been described as a process to return to the court for you since the suspension was handed down. Uh, can you walk me through kind of what the past couple weeks have been like and what that process has been like for you?
Yeah, I would love to describe it to you. Um, it was a learning journey, to be honest with you. It was a lot of hurt that needed to be healed, a lot of conversations that needed to be had, um, and a lot of reflection. Um, and I got a chance to do that with some great people from the Jewish community, from the Black community, from the white community. I've had so many conversations with all of our races and cultures and religious groups of people, just trying to better find perspective on how we live a more harmonious life. I'm a man who stands for peace. I don't condone any hate speech or any prejudice, um, and I don't want to be in a position where I'm being misunderstood on where I stand in terms of anti-Semitism or any hate for that matter for anybody in this world. So the process over the last few weeks was just a lot of conversations. I don't want to get too deep into the details of those conversations, but they were very moving, very impactful, and it helped me become more aware of the repair um, that needed to be done, the healing that needs to be done still. So here I am, just really acknowledging the fact that it hasn't been easy. Some of it has been painful. Just learning about um, the history between different groups of people, um, and it's given me a greater perspective.
Several people have come out and said on your behalf that they don't believe that you are anti-Semitic or you have any hateful ideation towards Jewish people. But just to clear the air, do you have any hateful ideation towards Jewish people, or are you anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not anti-Semitic. I never have been. Um, I don't have hate in my heart for the Jewish people or anyone that identifies as a Jew. I'm not anti-Jewish or any of that. Um, and it's been difficult to sit at home with my family, with them seeing all of this and having questions. And the part that hasn't been hard is explaining myself because I know who I am and I know what I represent. But I think the difficult aspect is just processing all this and understanding the power of my voice, the influence I have. I'm no one's idol, but I am a human being that wants to make impact and change. In order to do that, I have to live responsibly and set a greater example for our youth, for my generation and the older generation. So I just think I really want to focus on the hurt that I caused or the impact that I made within the Jewish community. Putting some type of threat or assumed threat on the Jewish community. I just want to apologize deeply for all my actions throughout um, the time that it's been since the post was first put up. I've had a lot of time to think, but my focus initially, if I could do it over, would be to heal and repair, a lot of my close relationships with my Jewish relatives, brothers and sisters. My journey is very unique. I grew up in a big melting pot full of different races, cultures, and religions of people. So a lot of these conversations about anti-Semitism or anti-blackness or anti-whiteness or any anti that goes against a specific group of people. Within my household, we used to talk about it, and I grew up with all walks of life, and that's why I'm able to sit here and say I embrace all walks of life because I've had some experiences throughout this journey where it's tested my faith, it's tested my heart, and I've always tried to stand up for what I believe in and stand up for those that I feel like are being prejudiced against or um, you know, being discriminated against. I don't want to say prejudice, just being discriminated against based on their skin color or religion. So I stand with all my brothers and sisters that are really doing the things necessary to bring harmony and peace to our world. So that's where I sit. In right now in this present space is just I'm very sorry that I had to be used as some sort of example of what not to do when it comes to um, dealing with all of this. So I just want to deal with it better right now and just say that I'm sorry to not only the Jewish community but to my family members and to my relatives because they know I stand for something bigger, and I'm grateful now I get to explain myself.
And just going back to the initial post, because I'm not sure if you've been asked this. Your intent, like, what did you want to share with your followers, your audience? What was your intent with the initial post?
Well, number one, I meant no harm. I didn't want to, be put in a position where I'm against any community. And like I said, during the press conference after one of the games, I just went to look up my name, Kyrie, which also translates in Hebrew to Yahweh, or YHWH. And I wanted to share the link with all those that were also on the same journey and search for their heritage as I am on. The unfortunate aspect in that 3-hour documentary is the anti-Semitic remarks, in terms of generalizing Jewish people. I believe that was unfair. And that wasn't the aspect of the post that I wanted the focus to be on. The initial post was supposed to be for all those that were searching for more information, more history, and are able to interpret it in a way where they see it as progressive and they learn something from it. Again, this was just a post. There was no context I put into it. I was just watching the video to learn more about my heritage, do a deeper dive into who I am. And unfortunately, in that process, I hurt some people, and I'm sorry for that. But the search for what tribe I belong to, where I come from, is ongoing, and I'm continuing this search with God. And wherever I'm placed, I believe that that's where I'm supposed to be. But I had to go through this to truly understand my power and the position I sit in, and understand that, some things are meant to be explained, and I should have done that. Instead of being in this position now where there are a bunch of assumptions and questions on what I meant and how I wanted it to be portrayed. It wasn't a promotion. It wasn't something that I was advocating for in terms of the anti-Semitic remarks. Just majority of the documentary was speaking on the lost tribes of our world, Black people specifically, and dealing with other races that are also searching for their history. So it's a longer question. I don't want to get too long-winded here, but mainly I just want to talk about the progression that I've made, and also sitting in this unique position of bringing people together. So that's the mission and purpose that I'm focused on, and that's what God has put on my heart.
You referenced in your apology that you wrote that you hope that turns into something that becomes an understanding among all people.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you, and in this process that you've been through the past couple of weeks? What have you learned about getting towards that?
Well, I've learned over the last few weeks that speaking openly about religion or culture or race, it's it's got to be a safe space where everyone can speak openly and they're not judged harshly or unfairly or unjustly. Um, you know, I believe as human beings we all have different beliefs, but there's one universal true God that we all serve, and in order to do that, sometimes you have to go into some uncomfortable situations to really understand why you're there. As human beings, and my actions are going to have to speak louder because there is a level of hurt and pain that a lot of communities feel for not being recognized uh, for a lot of their history and a lot of their cultural achievements and accomplishments. And because of that, there is a pride that they feel, that I feel, that it should be represented the right way, and there shouldn't be a fear or a second thought that comes with this. It's just standing up for the right things, making sure that you're standing up with everyone. But specifically in this case, this is the Jewish community that we're recognizing because, um, this conversation wasn't easy because there's a lot of, things that are unresolved. And I can't be the only person that resolves them. So I'm just joining a collective effort, a collective community, a commune of people that really want to see the world in a more accepting way, in a more liberating way, in a freeing way, I'll say, in terms of being able to be proud of who you are without feeling like you're dismissing others. So um, I'm just grateful that I got an opportunity to do this over these last few weeks. Obviously, I didn't want to be away from my teammates of the game or from work, but I'm grateful that I was utilized as a beacon to start this dialogue and start these conversations so we can move our world forward. But again, this isn't a solo act. This is going to be a community effort, and I'm going to need everybody at home to help and start these conversations so we can move our world forward. But again, this isn't a solo act. This is going to be a community effort, and I'm going to need everybody at home to help.
The people who've been hurt by the post and then over the past couple of weeks, I think that maybe some of those people, if they're hearing your apology, they're appreciating it, but maybe they're wondering initially why you chose not to unequivocally kind of denounce the anti-Jewish material in the film and to state plainly that you are not anti-Semitic. What was the thought process there in those initial press conferences to not do that?
Yeah, well, I'm grateful you asked that because I can only speak to my experience of growing up in West Orange, New Jersey, in Jersey in general, New York. It is a melting pot full of different religious backgrounds, races, and cultures. And I grew up around Jewish people. I grew up around, different white people that identify as their own heritage, and I've identified as my own heritage. And within all that, as a kid, I really picked up early on that we are really legitimately one human race, and it is our job as human beings to protect one another. And I felt like I was protecting the truth initially. After the post came out and the press conference happened, I felt like I was protecting the truth. But all in all, I felt like I was protecting my character, and I reacted out of just pure defense and just hurt that I could be labeled, or I thought that I was being labeled as anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish, and I felt like that was just so disrespectful to ask me whether or not I was anti-Semitic or not. Now, to the outside world, it may have been seen as a simple yes or no, which rightfully so, it should have been no. I'm not anti-Semitic. No, I'm not anti-Jewish. I am a person that believes that we all should have equal opportunities, and that we should all shower each other with love, and that should be at the forefront. But it wasn't in that initial conversation, and I take my accountability, and I want to apologize for that because it came off the wrong way completely. What I was really getting at was, how can I be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from? That statement itself was just referring back to my childhood and all the relatives and friends that I have made and that I will continue to get to know on a deeper level. They're Jewish. Some of them are Jewish. Some of them are not Jewish. But I felt like that didn't matter. And because I felt like it didn't matter in that moment, it came off the wrong way. So I'm glad that I could clean that up right now. It's, unfortunate that that was taken the wrong way and taken out of context. But I really just wanted to focus on, how I can become better from that because, there were some statements that were used that I don't necessarily feel like are a true representation of me and what I stand for. And it's just now I'm in this space to be able to say, hey, I know that I could have handled that better. I did not mean to send any hurt or threats or impact or harm the Jewish community or anyone in it. My intent was just to say I'm proud of who I am. and I am a leader in my own right. But I also know that in order to be a leader, you have to embrace others' strengths and weaknesses, faults, flaws, beauty, and I wish I got a chance to do that in that moment because I embrace everyone. So yeah, this is something that I'm still gonna have the opportunity. I'm still gonna have the opportunity to work through that press conference moment or the other press conference moment. But I'll say that I should have just answered the questions and just moved on, and just kept uh, the conversation centered on me embracing all walks of life and having love for our world.
And you've made that clear several times that you embrace everyone and have love for everyone. And you, again, have said that you hope that this can ultimately be something that leads to a deeper understanding among everyone. What do you see as your role in getting there, and what are some of the things you that you plan to partake in, or just what are some of the things that you would like to do or say going forward to help that process?
Well, I just want to turn this crisis into a positive moment um, for all of us. But more or less, I use this as a positive moment, a lightful moment, enlightening moment for myself because I did not realize how much impact that it would cause posting the link. And I honestly am guilty of not knowing how powerful my platforms are, and because of that, uh, there was just some more or less misinterpretations or misunderstandings that took place. And I think that those misunderstandings don't just happen within the sports media space or in the space that I'm in, but I think it happens all around the world. And I just want to give a safe space for all those that want to see a peaceful world and a harmonious world, the opportunity to speak openly without feeling the judgment of being harshly criticized or being canceled. In today's world, I feel like we can criticize a lot, but there's only a few things where we have to stay away from, and um, it's not something that I'm used to because, again, in my childhood and in my household, I have such a great representation of all races and all religions and all people. So these conversations are just normal. They're normalized in my household. We talk about everything. There isn't anything off the table. We don't judge one another. And I assume that, at this point, I had to learn that a society just doesn't work that way, or they're not ready to work that way in general. But I'm creating a space in order to do that. And the movement is just being started, I believe. There's a oneness that I feel with all those around me, and I just want to continue to build on that.
And Kyrie, you referenced just your upbringing, and you being from West Orange, New Jersey. You've been around people of all ethnicities, and being from Rockland County myself, I'm similar area, so I know the demographics. The people that you had grown up with that are Jewish, was it a process for you in the aftermath of this to speak to them, and if they were hurt at all, what was that process like? And I guess also, would you have a message generally to the Jewish community?
Yeah, my message to the Jewish community, to my Jewish relatives, to my Jewish brothers and sisters, is we are more alike than we realize. We have similar struggles, and I can acknowledge those. We have so much connectivity, between our cultures, and I would just like that to continue. I would just like to focus on the light that we share with one another. Taking care of our families, and this goes for everyone. This isn't, specific to just one people, but specifically we're talking about the Jewish community here. I feel like we can bridge a lot more gaps in our society together. And the reason why I say we can bridge a lot more gaps because it's been done in my life already. I'm a walking testament to that of relationships that are built on trust, love within the Black and Jewish community. My AAU coach, Sandy Payonin, is Jewish. I went to school at Duke. There was a great community of Jewish men and women there. And then now being in the NBA, being friends, close friends with a lot of people that are an instrumental part to the success of our industry and our brand, and they've helped me along the way. They were part of my life, and they still are. So again, this was hurtful for me, just from the standpoint of being labeled anti-Semitic, and I reacted defensively. But I would say that if you got to know me a little bit more, which I would love to use this opportunity, to do that, just give you an inside look at Kai. I think a lot of people know Kyrie Irving and know the baseline story or the surface story, but me as Kai, um, as I know myself, I grew up around Jewish members of the community, and it's never been anything less than love and embracing and warm invites into our homes. So this is nothing new to me. In terms of keeping an open dialogue within the Jewish community, it's just unfortunate that the circumstances that we're under put me in these relationships, whether they're Jewish or Black or white. I just care about people. And when I hurt someone, I do want to take my accountability and responsibility and say that I'll do better.